Jim Henson's Labyrinth is a beloved classic among kids of a certain age. Bowie passed away in 2016, but the rest of the cast is still with us, and many are still performing. Here's what they've been up to. Labyrinth was only Jennifer Connelly's fourth movie. She'd previously appeared in Once Upon a Time in America, the Dario Argento thriller Phenomena, and 7 Minutes in Heaven. She became the object of a million crushes after her films The Hot Spot and Career Opportunities, then went on to appear in various Hollywood films like The Rocketeer, Higher Learning, Mulholland Falls, and the sci-fi freakout Dark City. For much of her early career, Connelly was typically asked to play girlfriends or femme fatales, but her performance in Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream in 2000, in which she played a slowly deteriorating heroin addict, was a revelation. She would later go on to win an Academy Award for her work in Ron Howard's A Beautiful Mind.
You're still here.
I'm still here.
Connelly's career has continued to wow us with its variety ever since. She's appeared in horror duds like Dark Water and soulful indie dramas like Reservation Road. In 2014, she re-teamed with Aronofsky for his gonzo biblical epic Noah, which is certainly worth a look. She'd later turn up in the 2019 would-be blockbuster Alita: Battle Angel. More recently, Connelly appeared in Top Gun: Maverick, one of the most successful and acclaimed films of 2022, as well as 2023's Bad Behavior, in which she played a former child actor. She's now starring in the Apple TV Plus sci-fi series Dark Matter. Connelly has enjoyed a long career in the public eye, and she doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. Toby Froud is the son of puppeteer and designer Wendy Froud and Brian Froud, the concept designer for both Labyrinth and Jim Henson's other 80s fantasy film, The Dark Crystal. Toby's parents actually met on the set of The Dark Crystal, so his very existence is contingent on fantasy puppets. Toby probably doesn't remember working on Labyrinth since he was just a baby at the time, but he at least has a visual record of appearing on screen with David Bowie.
He's a lively little chap. I think I'll call him Jareth. He's got my eyes.
Froud began working in special effects and puppetry as a young man, apprenticing in Jim Henson's Muppet Workshop in 1999. His first professional gig came in 2005 when he was hired as a sculptor and designer by the Weta Workshop to make creatures for the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He eventually became a regular employee of Laika, the stop-motion animation studio, where he worked on Paranorman, The Box Trolls, Kubo and the Two Strings, and Missing Link. He also made puppets for the Oscar-winning 2022 stop-motion film Pinocchio. In 2017, he served as an executive producer on a fantasy film called Yamasong, March of the Hollows, which featured the voices of Whoopi Goldberg, Abigail Breslin, Nathan Fillion, Peter Weller, and George Takei. In a full-circle moment, Froud was hired as a design consultant for the short-lived Netflix prequel series The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, for which he won the Outstanding Special Effects in a Photoreal or Animated Project Award from the Visual Effects Society. In 2014, Froud wrote and directed his own short film, Lessons Learned. So born out of a relationship that was itself born out of puppetry, Toby Froud has since spent his life among puppets and monsters. Not a bad way to make a living. Sarah's father and stepmother don't play a huge role in Labyrinth. They only appear at the beginning of the film to let Sarah know they'll be going out for the evening, and that she has to babysit her baby brother when she would rather be cavorting in a glade writing angsty poems.
She treats me like a wicked stepmother in a fairy story no matter what I say.
Sarah's stepmother, Irene, is played by Canadian actor Shelley Thompson, who spent most of her career on stage. As a student, she moved to England and studied at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. She starred in the British kiddie sitcom Mike and Angelo for all 5 of its seasons, playing Mike's mother, Rita. When she moved back to Canada, Thompson went back to her theatrical roots, shifting her focus to writing and directing. Thompson appeared in the Canadian comedy series Trailer Park Boys. She played Barb Leahy in 85 episodes of the original series, along with various boys' TV specials. These days, Thompson is busy doing voice work in animated shows and video games, and appearing in dozens of short films. She's also worked in low-budget indie films and soulful dramas, including, most recently, The Good House, starring Sigourney Weaver and Kevin Kline. Thompson made her feature film directorial debut with Dawn, Her Dad, and the Tractor in 2021. Brian Henson, the son of Labyrinth director Jim Henson, has been surrounded by puppets his whole life, even appearing on Muppet segments of Sesame Street as a kid. His first legit job was in 1981's The Great Muppet Caper, also directed by his dad. He then played the mild-mannered Jack Pumpkinhead in Return to Oz, and worked as an animatronic puppeteer for Santa Claus the Movie. In 1986, fellow Muppet performer and director Frank Oz hired Henson as one of the chief puppeteers for Audrey 2 in the musical version of Little Shop of Horrors.
It's hopeless asking you anything.
Not if you ask the right questions.
Labyrinth's Hoggle was played by a whole team of people who had to work in unison. Henson voiced the character off-camera while manipulating the animatronic Hogglemouth using a remote-control hand-mounted puppet rig. An actor named Sherry Weiser played Hoggle on-camera, with additional puppeteers manipulating Hoggle's eyes and other facial features. Henson would continue to be involved with puppet projects after Labyrinth, including 1990's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where he served as one of the lead puppeteers for the Turtles' masks. He also worked on the animatronic mice in Nicholas Roeg's The Witches. That was the year Jim Henson died, so Brian became something of a secondary leader of the Muppet franchise. He directed the crackerjack 90s Muppet movies The Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island. Henson's last feature was the heavily criticized but wonderfully whimsical The Happy Time Murders in 2018, which was nominated for 2 Razzie Awards. Most recently, Henson voiced Muppet ape Sal Manila in the Disney Plus special Muppets Haunted Mansion. The arrogant, fox-like Sir Didymus was played by longtime Muppet performer Dave Goelz, while being voiced by English actor David Shaughnessy. He made his screen debut in 1979, playing a doctor in the British war series Danger UXB. Throughout the 80s, he appeared in numerous BBC programs like Minder and The Clairvoyant, before starring in Labyrinth. Shortly thereafter, Shaughnessy landed the role of Gentleman Starkey in the underrated animated series Peter Pan and the Pirates. In the film department, Shaughnessy appeared in the gloriously dumb slasher flick Death Spa. In the years since Labyrinth, Shaughnessy has spent the bulk of his time directing soap operas, with acting taking a back seat. He's helmed episodes of Santa Barbara, The Young and the Restless, Days of Our Lives, and The Bold and the Beautiful, winning 4 Daytime Emmys for his work. In the mid-2000s, Shaughnessy returned to voice acting and has since appeared in dozens of video games and animated shows. He voiced the characters Drell and Narvin in Star Wars Resistance and Ulysses Claw in Avengers Assemble, in addition to voicing an old man in the animated anthology show Tales of the Jedi. In 2024, Shaughnessy worked on the video game Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, playing Marcus Brody. Ron Mueck played the gentle Sasquatch-like character Ludo in Labyrinth, which required him to wear a huge, heavy monster costume that put constant strain on his body. Nevertheless, he managed to imbue Ludo with a believable heft. Ludo may actually be the best puppet in the film.
Ludo, down.
While Mueck shouldered the heavy Ludo suit for Labyrinth, he never dreamed of acting for a living. He's better known in the arts world for his striking hyper-realistic sculptures. He has made outsized human skulls, 16-foot children, and a notably large woman in bed. His works have been exhibited in museums all over the world, including at the Museum Voorlinden in Wassenaar in the Netherlands. And in the TV and film world, Mueck actually helped sculpt and design the prototype makeup for Jim Henson's anthology series, The Storyteller. Henson evidently wanted the host of that series to be a puppet, but Mueck's makeup convinced him that a live-action actor would look a lot better. The storyteller himself was played by John Hurt. Although they don't lend their voices to Labyrinth, several of the best-known Muppet performers did provide their puppetry skills to the film. Dave Goelz, for instance, is perhaps best known as the voice and puppet performer behind the Muppets Gonzo, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, and Zoot from The Electric Mayhem. On Labyrinth, he helped with the puppetry on Sir Didymus and the Talking Bird Hat, as well as a door knocker, a guard, and a fiery, one of the wild 8 bird monsters. Goelz first met his longtime Muppet collaborator Frank Oz at a puppeteers convention in Oakland back in the 1970s. Oz, who was leading a workshop, invited Goelz to visit the set of Sesame Street. There, he was introduced to Jim Henson and became one of Henson's closest co-workers, even designing several of the Muppets for their debut on Saturday Night Live. Goelz has been a part of the Muppets ever since, most recently working on the 2023 TV series The Muppets Mayhem.
I think Animal's all ready to lay down our drum track.
That was perfect.
What?
Oz, meanwhile, met Henson when they were both still teenagers. The pair loved puppetry and working on their respective passion projects. Oz and Henson began developing their Muppet characters as early as 1963, with Oz going on to become the longtime voice and puppeteer for Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, and Sam the Eagle. His career has been a juggernaut ever since. He voiced and performed the diminutive alien Yoda in multiple Star Wars projects, and he eventually moved to directing, helming high-profile Hollywood productions like Little Shop of Horrors, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, What About Bob, and Bowfinger. In Labyrinth, Oz also played the Wise Man, a character voiced by the late Michael Hordern. Danny John Jules is perhaps best known to sci-fi fans as the cat in the cult British comedy Red Dwarf. His character was a humanoid evolution of a colony of cats living on the titular spaceship for 2 million years, and incidentally, he was totally obsessed with fashion.
What the hell is this thing? It's a wibbly gun. It makes things go all wibblified.
John Jules is a talented dancer and voice performer whose skills were well suited for Labyrinth, in which he played 2 of the Fireys, a species of creature that could remove their own heads.
Oh, yeah!
allowed to draw your own head!
John Jules has had a prolific children's TV career besides. In addition to appearing on Red Dwarf from 1988 all the way through its revival in 2020, he also starred in 26 episodes of the British kids series Maid Marian and Her Merry Men, and 74 episodes of the 2002 educational series The Storymakers. He additionally showed up in the crime comedy show Death in Paradise and the teen action series Am I High? In terms of his film projects, John Jules played a singer in Frank Oz's directorial debut Little Shop of Horrors, and had a small role in Guillermo del Toro's vampire flick Blade 2, playing one of the vampire mercenaries who helps Blade track down a vicious pack of Reapers. He also lent his voice to the Aardman Animations film Arthur Christmas, and most recently appeared in the biopic Creation Stories, a film about Alan McGee, the founder of Creation Records.